All right. Hey, everybody. I am live in Redwood City today, and I probably haven't had a live person with me since Sundance, but before that was pre-pandemic,
Wow.
2019.
So I feel very honored.
You should be.
Yeah.
Jacob Krueger, everybody, from the Jacob Krueger Screenwriting Studio. What are you doing here in the Bay Area? What's going on, dude?
I've been on a big journey, honestly. I've been traveling for almost 3 years now, bouncing to different places. But I'm here visiting a friend on the way down to LA to for some work stuff.
So Jacob and I met years ago at Sundance, as people do in the industry. Stayed connected. We have tons of mutual friends. Came to the Brave Maker party this past January. Just texted saying, "Hey, I'm driving or I'm flying down to LA. You want to hang out?" So here we are. He's in our studio. This is our last 2 weeks in this
Yeah.
space. And after I'm going to go show him our potential new home. We might have a new home. We'll see. But let's just do a quick screenwriting chat.
Yeah, let's do it.
What are you seeing right now in the industry as it's turning upside down, as people are writing scripts and getting things made? What are some of the thoughts you have around that?
You know, I don't think anybody knows exactly what's happening in the industry right now, right? Like it's a little bit of a crazy time and, financially things are crazy right now. But I always think like these are the times when it's hard to sell, these are the times to write,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because um eventually the demand always comes back, right? There's never been a time, we've gone through lots of dry spells, but there's never been a time when demand hasn't come back and you want to be ready to hit the ground with like, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. It's been interesting though. Like we had um everything slowed down with the strike, and then it was slow coming back, and then we had a student sell a script for over $500,000. A
Wow.
bidding war. Brand new writer was a bartender in New York. He's one of Steve Bagatorian's ProTrack students. Um, First script, no connections, and we're like, oh, it's coming back, and then the fires happened, and I think that really slowed things down. So if they're going to keep making stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? The demand is going to come back. So it's like, how do you position yourself now to take advantage of this slow period? Because when you're selling stuff, you're also busy, and it becomes hard to, or if you're, a lot of our students, make money in production,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, production's slow. That's a scary time, but you can take that time and like, okay, well, I'm gonna write my next script and have that ready to go.
So the advice is write, always be writing and have things to talk about, have things to potentially sell.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on? I just made this personal proclamation that I was gonna hold back money from contests and use that money and put it into making stuff, because I
Yeah.
am realizing I'm spending a lot of money on these contests hoping someone will pick me when I'm like,
Yes.
I'm already making things. Why don't I just take that money and put it into production? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think all writers are entrepreneurs, and I think all actors too, right? Like directors, anybody who's in a creative field is an entrepreneur, right? And so, being an entrepreneur means investing in yourself before anybody else is willing to invest in you, right? And it's a terrifying thing. Um, So it depends on who you are, what the right path is, right? Some of my students have unlimited money. Great. You should apply to
Lucky you.
every single contest in the world,
Yeah.
right? Because calling up a producer and saying, "Hey, I've won 17 contests, I've placed in 30," is a better way of getting them to pay attention than I won this one,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you have limited money, there are certain contests that like you're crazy not to be a part of, right? Like Austin Film Festival, Nickel Fellowship, right? These major, well-respected contests that are going to launch your career. Um, you'd be crazy not to spend that money if you have a really great script, but you might not want to, apply to, Uncle Joe's Festival of Southern Maine,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that's where if you have the cash to do both, then it makes sense to kind of accumulate those laurels, right? If you don't, you want to focus on these are the ones that are going to change my life, and don't waste money on coverage from them, right? You have to do the math on coverage and realize like they're not going to call it coverage, they're going to call it notes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not notes, it's coverage. And, if you do the math on what you're paying, and, coverage reader is getting paid somewhere between $0 and $50 to read your script, right? And if you just do the math on like how long it just takes to read a script, right? And then you add like the time to write a log line, a summary, you realize like these people are working for less than minimum wage, right? That's not the person you want to take notes from.
Right. They can't care that much.
They can't. They have, and they're well-intentioned, but let's face it, people who are successful in this industry don't write coverage. People who are trying to break into this industry write coverage, right? And I mean, my first job was writing coverage, but I had no business doing it at that time. I had never read a script before when I wrote my first piece of coverage. So that's not development notes. That's not going to help you. And don't take contests seriously, right? If you win, don't take that seriously. And if you don't make it to the second round, don't take that seriously, because it's literally, winning is several readers, right? But it's usually advancing to the second. It's one reader. Maybe their blood sugar was low, right? Right? Maybe they only like zombie movies, right? Like, so you can't take that stuff seriously. You want to get your mentorship from real professionals, screenwriters who are selling scripts, who know this business better than you do. You want to find the one cook that's going to be in your kitchen, right, that you 100% trust, and then you have to drown out the rest of the noise. So don't waste your money on that. Do apply to the best festivals. And then if you do have enough money to apply to lots of festivals, the one value is if you don't make it to the second round in multiple festivals, let's say you apply to 10 festivals, and you never make it to the second round, the problem is in the first 10 pages of your script, right? This problem is not your trick ending's not working. The problem is in your first 10 pages, right? And that means you can solve that piece of it relatively easily. Now, when there's a problem in the first 10 pages, there are always structural problems as well. But most coverage readers are actually making the decision of whether you make it to the next round in the first 10 pages.
Whew. All right, take that in, Brave Maker listeners. This was an impromptu podcast with Jacob Krueger. Final thing, what do you do and how can people get involved with your work? You have a podcast, you have a screenwriting studio. Talk about that.
So my podcast is called the Write Your Screenplay Podcast. And what we do is we look at movies and TV shows. And I always hate the way critics talk about movies, because I think it's not their job to go, this is good, this is bad. And they never agree with each other anyway. So what I do is what I wish critics did, which is, okay, let's talk about how it was built, right? Let's talk about what you can learn from it. Let's talk about like even if it's the worst show or the best show, right? Like, what can I take from this that I can apply to my own writing and my own path? And so the podcast has been running for, I think we're in our 14th year, 15th year, something like that. So we have a free podcast. That's the Write Your Screenplay Podcast, and you can get it anywhere or at writeyourscreenplay.com/podcast. So, and then, the core of our program, like what I'm most proud of is, we have a one-on-one mentorship program. So we take emerging writers of all different levels. We have professional writers in that program, and we have little baby writers who are like, this is literally my first time ever writing a script. And what we do is we pair them with working professional writers, including, we have Emmy and Peabody Award winner, we have a Pulitzer Prize nominee. So we have top level writers. And then we also have, at lower price points, emerging writers who are actively working in the industry, who are fantastic, right? Who you might not know their name yet, but you'll know their name in 5 years. And so the goal is allowing these writers to get basically a lifetime of one-on-one mentorship every week, every other week, somebody to read every single page you write anytime you want, right? On a recurring schedule. You finish a draft, they read your draft. And it's, shave a couple of zeros off of what you would cost just for grad school, and you could have a lifetime of this. And so, we do a good job of launching writers that way and helping them build their library. And then finally, we do a free class every Thursday, because we have a very similar mission about inclusion and accessibility. And so every Thursday, from anywhere in the world, you can join Thursday Night Writes, and it's taught by me and by top members of my faculty. And it's an hour, and we usually get about 150, sometimes 200 students from all over the world. And it's 100% free. You get a screenwriting class, you get a writing exercise, you get, and then we do breakout rooms at the end, so you get to build community, which is also so important.
I've been a part of that a couple times. Free is great, and it's 4 p.m. Pacific time, so I get to do it like my last hour before I go home, which is awesome because it's 7 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for doing writeyourscreenplay.com and all the work that you do with writers all across the world. And thanks for coming to my neck of the woods here and jumping in the studio.
Fun. I wanted to do this with you for so long.
It's very cool.
We're Sundance friends, so we usually see each other once a year.
Once a year,
yeah. And so it's really nice to get to reconnect and spend some time with you.
So we'll do this again. We'll have you on a proper podcast. It's just a little mini podcast since we're in the studio. But check out writeyourscreenplay.com, the Jacob Krueger studio. If you have any questions, hit him up. And we're going to go downtown Redwood City and grab a cup of coffee and maybe see a space that we will be living in soon. We'll see. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks to Jacob.
Thanks so
much. Everybody keep going after your dreams. Remember, brave stories change the world, and you are the story. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.